Good morning, Josh.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm great.
How important is the vertical element in the passing game? And can the passing game be considered successful maybe long term if you're not hitting that with some frequency?
I think it's important to um, have the ability to throw the ball vertically, horizontally. Um, in every game, and most pass patterns have that element available to them. I think there's part of that process, which involves certainly decision making. Whether you want to, kind of do everything you can to try to force it down the field, where there's times where you could do that, or you call plays that have an option to throw the ball down the field vertically. And if the defense were to play, specific coverages that take those elements away, that you then make the decision to do something else with the ball. Certainly you want to be able to attack all areas of the field and force the defense to defend everything. And we'll continue to try to work hard at doing that. And again, I know I can do more in that area to give us chances. I think there's also a balance of the timing of the game, the score, the situation itself. You're weighing a little bit of risk versus reward, et cetera. So I think there's a lot of factors there, but the short answer to your question is yes, it's important to have the ability to throw the ball to all levels of the defense and make them defend everything, which certainly would open up other things for you underneath possibly. But at the same time, I think is an important balance between just closing your eyes and heaving it deep when it's really not there. We had a chance, I think, in maybe the second quarter, maybe it might have been the first quarter. We ended up with two guys back there on a post, and they ended up being offsides on the play. But the decision-making process, is the scheme available to you? You have to make smart decisions about that if you're going to do it.
Thank you, Josh.
Yep.
Next question, Phil Perry, followed by Mike Overly.
Hey, Josh, how's it going?
Good, Phil. How you doing?
Good. You mentioned there's obviously a lot that goes into those decisions, whether it's, I would assume the play call or the decision in real time that the quarterback has to make to throw it down the field. But I just want to ask you as a play caller and working with obviously a young quarterback who's only played 2 games here, do you maybe call fewer of those types of plays that would ask for Mac to push it down the field just to help him get his feet wet with what look like more manageable passes? Or do you trust him fully to, if that throw is there, to take it and be as aggressive as he wants?
Yep. I trust him completely. And so I think, and again, kind of to piggyback off of Mike's question, and I understand your question too. I think there's a lot that goes into each decision. And again, look, I'm the first one to say that I could do a better job at a number of things, as I look back at what I've done the first game, the second game, and how we want to try to grow and evolve as the season goes on in terms of a lot of areas of our offense making progress. But I think protection is one of them. The discussions that you have to be aware of. Blitz, is there a lot of pressure coming at you? Can you hold the ball? Are you able to do things with certain protections to add time to your pocket? And he has to deal with all of those same things. He has to weigh, what is the coverage? How am I seeing it? Does it give me a chance to do that? At the same time, react to maybe something in the pass rush or what have you that forces the ball to come out of his hand a little quicker. That's been the case for every quarterback who's ever played. And I think for me, believe me, there's not a whole lot that we're holding back for him. I think this was a very aggressive front that we saw in New York. Certainly, they did a good job of trying to get up the field and get into the middle of the pocket some, which certainly we can improve in that area as well. And then we talked, last week about, how much pressure Miami brought and so on and so forth. So I think it's a combination of all those things. You can call as many as you want. It doesn't mean the ball is going to go there, because the defense certainly has a vote in where the ball is going to end up going. And then our execution across the board, the read from the quarterback's perspective, was the coverage, applicable for us to take a shot or throw it down the field or throw it intermediate, the execution of the protection, the execution of the blitz pickup, the route. Did we run the route the right way? Did we get open down the field? Did we give ourselves an opportunity? So I think there's a lot of things that go into that. Certainly, like I said, you want to be able to test those areas of the field as you move forward. But I also want him to make smart decisions. I want him to protect the football. And I want him to be aggressive when it's time to be aggressive. And look, he's throwing the ball down the sideline to Nelson Aguilar in Miami. He's throwing the ball up the middle, to Miami. He threw it down the sideline to Jacoby this week, so it's not like he's not doing that. It's just there's certain times when it's the right time to do it and certain times where it's not. And I got to continue to work hard at myself to try to provide our offense with opportunities to do that if it presents themselves.
Thanks, Josh.
Yep. Thanks, Phil.
Gerard Mayo is waiting, so we're going to probably make this the last question. Michael Hurley, go ahead.
Hey, Josh. I was just curious, especially early in the year as you're trying to establish what you want to do for a game plan, how much does the opponent factor in? I ask because the Saints, kind of have had two very different performances thus far. So I'm wondering how much you're keyed in on your offense versus their defense as you try to put the game plan together.
It's a combination of both. You certainly have to take into account where you're at as a unit, what you do well, where you want to try to improve and progress, and try to do as many things as you can to put your players in a position to be successful doing things that they're comfortable doing and they do well. At the same time, I think you always have to consider the defense's personnel, the defense's personality, the play caller. I've coached against Dennis a number of times. He's an aggressive coach. They are very, very well. They're totally attached at all three levels. They have good communication. They rarely make a mistake. They challenge you up front. They challenge you with different coverage disguises. They play zone. They play man. They're mixing in their pressures throughout the game. They have a very difficult third down package. So there's a lot of things I think you have to consider when you're getting ready for an opponent. You start with your own team, and then you factor in their scheme, their personnel, the problems that they present to you, and then you try to figure out the best way to approach the game plan on a day-to-day basis. So right now we're working on first and second down, and hopefully we can put together a good plan, and then we'll move on to the other downs and situations in the game as we move through the week.
Thank you, Josh. Gerard Mayo will be next.
Thanks, guys.